Hey guys, I'm Cassandra Bodzak, and I'm here with Audrey Johns of Lose Weight by Eating, and I'm going to talk to her a little bit today about what she did to lose 150 pounds, start Lose Weight by Eating, which has a tremendous following now, and then we're going to gossip a little bit about being healthy living peeps on the taste together. So, Audrey, thank you so much for agreeing to do this interview with me.
Oh, thank you, Cassandra. I'm so excited to share this with you.
Yay! So first of all, you lost 150 pounds, which is insane and amazing. Um, what what happened in your life that was that first like kickoff that made you kind of realize you wanted to get healthy and change up your lifestyle?
I have a daughter. She's now 4 years old. At the time when I started, she was probably about almost 2 years old. And I realized she's going to start having her first memories. And I don't want her to remember mommy as heavy. Not because there's anything wrong with being heavy, but I wanted to give her a really good, positive self-image. And so really, my daughter Sophia was such a huge motivation to me. I also became a stay-at-home mom, so I had the opportunity to teach myself how to cook, which I had never done before, truly. And that's really how the weight loss started, and then eventually lose weight by eating.
That's awesome. So now, do you remember, was there a certain culminating incident, that day when you finally sat down and was like, okay, enough of this is the day. And then what was your first, like, plan of attack?
Well, my first plan of attack, my mother was this tiny little thing. I have pictures of her when I'm 3 months old and she's like a size 2. So she was always a huge inspiration for me. She was just one of those lucky ladies. And unfortunately, I didn't get those genetics. But she always reminded me, before you eat anything, drink 2 glasses of water. Or whenever you're hungry, drink 2 glasses of water. So it was the easiest possible to start. I figured it's free. It's measurable, it's achievable, and so I just started drinking 2 glasses of water with every meal and then 2 glasses of water before I would snack. So if I got hungry and I wanted to eat something, I would just start with the 2 glasses of water first.
Wow.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that kind
and
of
that
like
was,
kicked you off.
what's that?
And so that kind of like kicked you off and got you losing weight.
It did, it did. Probably that first week I lost about 5 pounds. And I just kind of went with it. Probably for the first month, it was a lot of calorie counting, which I had known had worked in the past, because it is important. As much as nobody likes calorie counting, it's a good educational thing for you to do, to kind of memorize the calories going in and out, so that a year from then you don't really have to count. You kind of already know this, how much, this banana is 100 calories, this pear is X amount of calories. So I started with the water and I started counting my calories. And then I came across a clean eating book that kind of went over all of the different kinds of food that I should and should not be eating. And what was shocking to me was how in the book, the author explained that Diet Cokes and Diet Sodas are probably the worst thing you can do for a diet, because when they take out the real sugar, which, yes, real sugar is not good for you, but at least your body knows how to process it because it's found in nature. When you take out that real sugar and you put in chemicals, the chemicals were actually having adverse reaction on most people's weight loss, and they were making people gain weight and creating fat storage within the body. So once I found that out, I gave up Diet Cokes, and there was another 10 pounds in 1 week with no other changes to my diet, and I knew I was onto something. So then I started kind of going through everything. I was done with the 100-calorie packs. I was done with the shake and bake and the boxed foods and everything that was what I thought was easy for cooking. And I found that when I just started cooking all natural foods without labels on them, like lean protein from the butcher, real bread from a real bakery, and fresh fruits and vegetables, anything without a label on it, I found that I could have, as long as it was in not full of butter and all of that, I could have however much I wanted and still have the weight continue to come off.
Yeah, that's amazing. It's definitely the Diet Coke thing is the thing I tell all my clients. It's like one of the biggest things because it's just like, I don't know. I feel like it's a bad like college girl habit that you like have to shake. And definitely Diet Coke is, I mean, soda in general. I gave up soda, I think, gosh, I think I gave up soda one New Year's when I was in college, and that year, like I lost like 10 pounds just from not drinking soda anymore. It's like insane.
I always tell
But that's
people, I always ask them, do you really know any skinny people who drink that much Diet Coke? And you almost always see like a little light go on, like, you're right, all my super skinny friends are drinking water, or at least just soda water is a great way to kind of get over that craving. I noticed when I first gave up soda, it wasn't the sweetness I craved, it was the bubbles. And so I just would go out and get some Perrier, and now I have my soda stream. But you can just create those home bubbles, and you don't have to, you know, have all those nasty chemicals in your diet.
Yes, I'm a full-on seltzer addict. And it's so funny because that's the same thing. That's how I picked up the habit when I gave up soda. I started drinking seltzer with all sorts of fruits and stuff in it to try to make it feel like I was drinking something.
Yeah, totally.
So that now makes perfect sense because of your book, that water was such an important part to your weight loss that you had this awesome book. Yeah. And it's so true because I love that because it's such a simple. I was looking at a bunch of your recipes on Pinterest, and you know, it's something that seems so silly and so like, oh, whatever. Who needs this like metabolism boosting like drink or whatever with some fruit that I'm gonna make? But you know what? I mean, it really does make a difference. That kind of stuff it's the easy thing that you can be like, hey, you know, if you don't do anything else this year except, you know, give up soda, start drinking water, and start making you know, healthy water concoctions or whatever, like the ones in your book, or just putting fruit in water, you know, just to like get off of it, you'll lose significant amount of weight. And I find that with a lot of people, it's true. It's like once you get that first thing and like you start losing weight and you start really like, oh wow, this feels good. Oh, I think this, you know, you just want to learn more and you want to do more and you get the momentum.
Absolutely. You crave that win every single week. And I always tell people to set really reasonable goals. And yes, I lost 10 pounds when I gave up diet, but I would never encourage anybody to actually expect that because I have people who will set a weekly goal of to lose 5 pounds and they lose 2 pounds and then they become unmotivated and they give up. And it's like, are you kidding me? 2 pounds is incredible. That's over 100 pounds in a year. So it's a really important thing to do is to actually set reasonable goals, especially with the new year coming and how you said that New Year's resolution. You know, if you just set really reasonable goals that are easy to go along with, then you'll have a win every single week and you'll always be really, really motivated.
Exactly. And 2 pounds is the perfect goal because 2 pounds is like the healthy amount of weight you should be losing every week.
Absolutely.
So, okay, so now how did, you know, you're losing all this weight, and now when did you get the idea to start this blog and share all your little tips with everyone?
Well, as a stay-at-home mom, one day I was at ballet class. Yes, very cute and sweet with my little daughter. And all the moms and the teachers were asking me, how is it that every single time we see you, you're losing such drastic amounts of weight that we can see every single week? And it was so hard for me to explain to them. I would try to explain to them, well, I started clean eating, and then 100 questions, what does clean eating mean, this and that. And it was so much easier for me just to say, you know what, I'm going to start a blog. And so I started blogging, and my first blog post, I think, was toast with almond butter and bananas. I mean, it was that simple. And now you look at if you look at my recipes, now I have like pizza and nachos and all these really intricate things, but I started out really slow, and it was mostly just so that I could physically show people this is how I'm doing it, and here are the recipes that I'm using. And now we've lost, I lost count while we were on the taste together. We've lost over 10,000 pounds so far this year, and it works. You know, the blog has got good food on it and really reasonable goal setting, and lots of meal planning, and the easy lose weight by eating forced plan. And it's all free because I truly think that weight loss should not cost you anything. I mean, yeah, you can go pick up an extra book if you feel like you want some more of my recipes, but I want to give as much away for free as possible because I feel like once you've found my blog, the likelihood that you've tried and spent a fortune in losing weight is pretty high, and I don't want to charge you any more.
That is true. That is true. Well, that's awesome. So, if you don't mind, I'd like to get into a little bit about cooking on the taste because I know the two of us kind of went in there as we were the healthy living bloggers, and not only were we going against, some professional chefs and private chefs were intimidating as they are, but also some pretty tough home cooks that, really brought it. And I feel like going into it, I don't know about you, but when I was even thinking about auditioning for the show, I had numerous panic attacks there and like whatnot, thinking, because I was like, it's Anthony Bourdain. He's going to laugh at me. He's literally going to laugh at me and tell me to go home and not spread my vegan weirdness to anyone. And and I was really nervous because I watched last season, and I mean, I know Nigella and Ludo and Marcus and all of them, and they are all pretty, well, especially Nigella and Anthony are very indulgent chefs. So what was that experience like for you, as also kind of going in from a slightly different angle with the healthy living, but nonetheless pretty healthy?
I was totally terrified. I honestly felt so out of my element, but I love being in front of the camera, and it kind of sounds cheesy, but when you see me on the show, you'll get it. I turn on like the Audrey button and I'm this little on-air personality, but it was daunting. It was terrifying, especially once we got there and we started meeting all of these incredible chefs. I kind of felt like I didn't have a chance. But I went there in the hopes to meet Nigella. I figured if all I do is I get to cook for Nigella and I get to meet her, and of course Tony Bourdain, then I'll be happy. Like, if that's all that happens, I'll be happy. And I was really scared, honestly, especially meeting Lee. And then I remember I had looked up some of the emails, so I had looked you up, even when we all got like this mass email, and I looked up as many people as possible, and I remember thinking, there's my competition. It's you, and I was looking through your blog, which is so charming.
Seriously, I remember when we both walked in for that day when we were dressed for our first like interview before we auditioned. And we were both wearing red dresses, and I was like, oh, me and the other healthy living blogger, also cute, also a brunette, also wearing a red dress. There's only going to be one of us in the show.
I was sure that it was going to be only one of us. So I'm really, really glad that both of us got on there. I hope that it will motivate people watching the show to want to change their lives, or to want to at least go a little on the healthy route here and there, maybe not every single day. And I think it was important for the show to be able to show not just the indulgent side. Nigella Lawson actually told me, she said, I told her about the blog and about how much weight we had lost at that point, and she said, you really need your own cooking show, honey. She said, we need more cooking shows like yours. We need people to be up there and showing people how to cut calories and still really be able to indulge in their food. And the best compliment I got that day was Tony Bourdain telling me, I want to commend you for what you've done for our nation for weight loss. It was like,
awesome.
If I had walked off the stage at that point and nothing else had happened, that would have been enough for me. I just hope they air those two comments.
Right? I know. Yeah. Trust me, I know. There's a lot of that I'm like, oh, I hope that they show this. I think Bourdain called me his favorite vegetarian. And I want to get a shirt that says that across the chest.
What did he call you again?
His favorite vegetarian.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Well, you're the only vegetarian they've brought on the show thus far. Remember last season, not one vegetarian made it on.
I know. Yeah, I know. That was huge. And I was really nervous, especially because I made something that was vegan for my first audition. And I just remembered, like, last year that literally everything that was vegan, they were like, yeah, this is gross. Yeah, this is gross. And I was like, oh, no. But, yeah, I don't, yeah, it was crazy. And then I think it was also hard because, even farther on, like, when you're cooking, it's hard to know that, like, you're going up against, like, bacon and butter and all this stuff, and you're kind of pushed to do this. When that's not my palate. In a way, it's like, yeah, maybe it is easier to make indulgent things when you're using all that kind of stuff. But, I mean, for me, I generally I don't use meat in any of my cooking. I obviously have family members, and I know how to cook with meat. There was a time when I ate meat. But, like, it was just so foreign to me to constantly have to be up against these people that like day in, day out make these like decadent meat animal product laden dishes.
Yeah, yep. Yep. I remember at one point Marcus getting irritated with me, I believe, because he had like this giant slab of bacon and I needed to cut the top part off. I hardly ever eat bacon. I didn't know I was supposed to cut the top off, and he's like, he's not allowed to touch it, but he's like getting frustrated how to cut it. And it was interesting, you know, just being completely out of my element and not knowing how to use the fryer. And, you know, I did get creative. I made one of my signature dishes for one of the team challenges. And so figuring, okay, I need to go a little bit creative, I made chicken and potatoes. And instead of using regular olive oil, which I would have used because even though it has the same amount of calories as butter, it's got way more health benefits. Usually I would use olive oil. I went for the duck fat. I went all out. I figured, heck, this is going to be great. And holy moly, it was so good that Ludo came over, tried it, asked Marcus, did you put this one up? Marcus said no, and he said, you made a mistake. You made a mistake. This is so good. And so I was like, yes. So, you know, I got to work with fun ingredients like duck fat that, to be honest, I would never bring home to my own house. So it was exciting to be able to use those things, but I couldn't go completely out of my element and use a fryer because I probably would have seriously hurt myself. But I was able to kind of work in some of those more decadent items, which I was happy to do with my mentor, but I was a little uncomfortable doing on my own.
Yeah, I feel you. That was definitely the same thing with me with the fryer. That just scared me all over. And then I mean, it's funny because on one hand, obviously, you know, Ludo was kind of pushing my limit to see how far I would go with a lot of things, and trying to kind of like make me, you know, prove that I was a competitor or whatever. But at the same time, I do think he was very understanding. I think once I got past like my own blocks about it and I just asked him questions when I didn't know and was like, hey, can you show me how to do this because I've never cooked this before. He was actually very, very good at showing me and like being patient and then coming over and making sure that like I didn't burn anything or do anything crazy.
Wow. I just want to, for all of your viewers, I just want to reiterate that you just said Ludo and patient in the same sentence. It is possible.
It is possible. It's so funny. I saw they wrote an article, someone wrote an article on Ludo the other day, and he posted it up because they wrote how like intimidating and mean he is and all this stuff. And I wrote on it, and I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. Ludo's a little cupcake. I think he was very sweet with me. And he was really understanding. I was really surprised. I know that like Lee and Jeff were like the two of them almost didn't even want to want Ludo like in the beginning because they were like, he's gonna be so mean, he's gonna be so intimidating, like. And then I get him, and I was like, oh.
What can you do, right?
Yeah, but he was great. I wouldn't have traded him for the world. I think he taught me so much. Like in the time we had together, it was incredible. I made my family Christmas dinner. And a lot of it was thanks to Ludo, I will say.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. I definitely have gotten a little bit more curious about food since Marcus. He had the most amazing palate, and the foods that he brought to the table when we had our little powwows, and the flavors he brought were just so interesting. And just, as you know, when you cook low fat, you just want to pack it full as much flavor as possible so people don't notice that maybe there's no butter in it. And working with Marcus was just so ideal because for me, I learned about so many more delicious combinations and flavor profiles. And for somebody working with a palate all the time, doing the food and wine writing that I do, it was an amazing pairing, I think, with Marcus. He's the sweetest man, truly. He's a very gentle, sweet soul. Very competitive, but very gentle and sweet.
So now, okay, one final question. I guess maybe we've already a little bit covered this, but I mean, in all honesty, I think, you know, they put a lot of focus on home cooks versus professional chefs on the taste. But did you, I mean, other than just being a home cook, but did you feel like you were at a slight disadvantage being a healthy cook?
I did. I definitely felt like I was at a disadvantage. I mean, we had people like Marina who were just, I mean, my gosh, she was just rocking it with foods that, I mean, Ludo was saying, will you teach me how to make that? And
I
so,
know.
yeah, some of the home cooks were just so out of our league, including Don, who was in my own team. He had just been cooking for so many more years than I had been. So for me, yes, it definitely was about the healthy cook, but it was also the fact that I've only been cooking for 2 years. And so that for me was probably the biggest fear factor to get over. And it was intimidating with all of the chefs, and I think it might have been a different experience for you because you and Lee and Jeff clicked so quickly. But for the rest of the cooks, the chefs and the home cooks were kind of two separate entities. We didn't really hang out together very much. So it was interesting getting to meet a lot of home cooks and kind of have that camaraderie. I wish I had gotten a chance to chat with more of the real professionals. I did get a chance to chat with Jeff after everybody left. We were the last ones there at the finale, or I did get a chance to spend some time, at the bar with Louise, she's just crazy adorable. But that one-on-one time was really a lot with the home cooks, and so it was a lot of pumping each other up. Don't be so nervous, and that definitely my handicap was the fact that I had not been cooking as long as the majority of the people.
Yeah, that's an interesting point to bring up because I definitely think, I mean, for me too, I guess, like, Go Sweet and Skinny has only really existed for like a legit year. And I mean, I've been cooking, but I would call it college cooking, whatever you want to, use your imagination there. But yeah, and I think it's funny that you mentioned that because I definitely had a different experience where I ended up bonding with more of the professional chefs for luck of the draw, I guess. But it was really funny because being with Lee and Jeff and even hanging out with Louise a little, I just noticed that, the professional chefs, they've been doing it so much that they kind of knew already what they want. Like they knew, like they just had so many go-tos, I feel like, if that makes any sense, I had a lot less of a library of go-tos to draw from in a way because I just simply hadn't been doing like 400 meals a night at a restaurant where I made this dish all the time and could make it with my eyes full, Like you
Yeah.
make it a couple times to your family, maybe you take a picture, you put it on the blog, like yeah, I made it, it's my recipe, but I don't make it night after night after night, And I think that was really intimidating. And also I just felt like to a certain degree, yeah, with like it was a struggle because there was that part of me that's like I'm more comfortable cooking with healthy and almost, I mean, I don't want to say weird ingredients, but like ingredients that are a little bit more whole foodsy
Mm-hmm.
than a lot of the things we had on the show.
Yep.
And that was really hard for me because I couldn't use like the specific like things that I have in my kitchen. A lot of it was more general food, if that makes any sense,
Yeah, absolutely. We had a good pantry, but it felt like it was almost too broad, at least for you and I, when we're used to having those, really healthy foods in our pantry, and we're like, well, this is great and all, but I've never worked with duck fat before, or, or this or that, and so it was fun to be able to try those things, but it was daunting. It was like, where is my whole wheat pasta, darn it? I'm not going to make it. Where's the whole wheat pasta?
Wheat flour, yeah. Where's my coconut milk? I don't understand.
Yes.
Everybody doesn't have tofu cream cheese in their fridge. What? No.
Totally.
It was definitely a wide awakening in that for me.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And, this seemed like the pantries, at least for the first... At first, it didn't seem like they were very consistent, so that was also a problem as well.
Yeah,
I remember seeing people running to other people's pantries.
And that was definitely
other
an
teams.
aspect of the show that I never considered before I got there. Like, never even thought about before I got there. The whole, like, having to deal with upset pantry. I guess my, like, idealistic mind just thought that they would have everything I could think of.
Yeah, me too. Or that we would get to go shopping. They did so much shopping on the show last year that I didn't think it would be an issue. And I know they shopped at Whole Foods, so I was really confident going into it thinking, well, if they don't have it, I'll be able to go shopping for it. But we didn't get that opportunity really to do any of that shopping stuff. There was that, just for the first round, and then the rest of it we were at the will of whatever they gave us that day.
Yeah, that was definitely rough. rough.
And they brought out a tray. I'm deathly allergic to shellfish, which is just horrible for somebody who loves food. But we ended up having a challenge, and all they gave us was shellfish and bacon. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, all right, I guess I'm cooking with bacon. It was like,
oh my God,
I'm allergic. It's on all the paperwork, but it made me get really creative, and I think that's when I ended up with the chorizo, which was a bad idea.
No bueno.
Chorizo is bad.
I've never
it congeals.
Oh man. It was a crazy ride. Definitely a lot of highs and definitely some lows that I didn't expect.
Yeah.
But it was an amazing experience, and thank you so much for taking some time to talk to me. I really appreciate it. I hope that a lot of other people that have found us through watching the show and are interested in, healthy living and trying to lose weight the right way, can really look at both of our websites and hopefully get inspired that you can do this. And if the two of us can go on a show like that and cook for Anthony Bourdain, and we're used to cooking healthy food, you can do anything.
That's right. And I kept saying on the show, there's no glass ceiling in life. When you lose that weight, go for the next goal. When you get that goal, go to the next goal. Just keep pushing in life. It's so important that you don't ever just get complacent and say, all right, I'm set. Got to keep pushing. And that, I'm sure, was huge for you as well, just trying to get to the next step in your life.
Absolutely. Yeah, I was just like, let's just take this and roll with it. And now it's just really exciting having it actually air and getting to see all that's going to come from it.
I know, I'm so excited. I can't wait. I'm really excited to watch you. I have a hard time watching myself, so I'm watching for all the rest of you guys, and I'll probably be like this when I come on.
That's what it's going to be like. Literally, I can't even tell you. I didn't even want to watch it. I was like, can I just live tweet during it and not watch it?
Well, if it was just I figured with all the rest of us, I'm really excited to see, what you're doing and what my team is doing, what everybody's doing. So that's exciting, and I think I can watch that. But out of all of I have over 35 eHow videos. I have not even seen 5 of them because I can't watch them. All I see is fault. All I see is, oh, I should have said this, or I should have done this differently, and it's really hard to watch myself. And you hear that from actors all the time, too. It's really difficult to watch yourself.
Oh, yeah. No, I've never watched anything that I've been in. I just don't like doing it. And I feel I'm excited to see how everybody else looks and how everybody else turns out. But I feel like the difference between, I've done lots of, eHow videos or, more, scripted camera kind of stuff. But in those situations, I feel like you're so aware that you're being filmed. You're so aware of all this. And to a certain degree, obviously, at the Taste, when we were interviewing and stuff, we knew we were being filmed. But when you're cooking and a lot of that stuff, you're just trying, it's like survival, I got to do this, I got to cook this, I got to figure this out. And I'm not really thinking about, what does the camera see?
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure, in my audition, I eat 3 cupcakes while I'm cooking.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
And then I realized it after it, so who knows? I don't know if they showed that, whatever. But yeah, afterwards I was like, oh, Cassie, you just ate so much food while you were cooking. I had to taste it. Those cupcakes are my life.
Oh, I don't think I even tasted the food I made that day. It was literally down to the last second. It was a dump, a grab and throw and hands up. I got really, really, really gutsy making my own flatbread. But then I had a lot of the chefs coming up to me afterwards. Are you the one who made the bread? So that was kind of cool. But it was, holy moly, that was a little too ballsy. I almost didn't make it.
That audition was I think the biggest heart attack I've ever had in my life.
Yep. Yeah.
Words cannot, I did not know I could be so, I don't even know what the word is. Like, I don't think nervous, like, really covers it appropriately. I was so, and like you were saying, like, down to the last minute, I remember, like, for whatever reason, I couldn't get the mixer to work. And I'm, like, mixing it by hand like a beast. And I'm like, no, this will not be my demise. I did not come this far. And all of a
I got
sudden,
one of the big
your
KitchenAid
hair.
mixers, and it was broken. And I didn't have the time to go back and get a fixed one, so it was like flour all over the place. And of course, we're not wearing our aprons, so I have this gorgeous $150 dress on that I'm just covered in flour, and I'm like, oh my Lord. But there's nothing you can do when you have, I think the clock, for me, and of course all the amazing chefs, were my two biggest fears to overcome, was that clock, because I do have a child, and so I am rushing to get stuff done, and so I thought I would be fine, but you just don't realize that you think you make it in an hour at home, but you've got the prep time beforehand or the time for the food to rest afterwards, and you have to compact it all into 1 hour, and it was just so hard to do that. It really was.
Yeah, definitely. The clock was hands down like my biggest challenge because it's the same thing, and it's also I feel like not only just like the prep time and stuff at home that you don't consider, but for me it was really the not being in your own kitchen. Like when you're in your own kitchen, you know where everything is. Like it's a lot easier. And then when you're, on camera and you have, all this stuff going on, you have like the clock running, and you're running around like a crazy person because you don't remember where the olive oil is because it's on some random shelf somewhere. It's just yeah, crazy.
I couldn't get the Tupperware boxes open. So embarrassing. I think I brought mine over to Shayu, and he looked at me like I was crazy and just pushed the button on the top, and it popped off, and I had been trying to pry it off. I didn't know. Those were some of the really funny things. Or I thought I grabbed a tube of tomato paste, but I accidentally grabbed a tube of anchovy paste. Because the tomato paste, luckily I was able to scrape it out before it had any problem with the food. But there was those little things where you're like, oh my Lord, you're just so out of your element, not in your own home, that you're flustered, and there's the clock and hundreds of cameras and producers asking you questions, and I thought my brain was going to explode the majority of the time.
Yep, definitely. Oh, well, it was definitely probably one of our best experiences of 2013 for sure. I'm going into 2014 now as well. But
yeah,
crazy.
Absolutely.
Well, thanks so much. I'll let you go now. I feel like I've kept you for a while. It was so much fun talking to you about it.
Oh, you too, sweetheart. I miss you so much. I wish we lived closer.
I know, I miss you too. I'm going to have to come out to California soon so we can go on a wine tour.
Yes, wine country. We have an event every single weekend here.
Okay, that sounds good. And if you're ever in New York, you should come by. I'll take you out.
I would love it. I would so love it. Thank you so much. And for all your fans, please check out loseweightbyeating.com. And we've got a great contest, and Cassandra is one of our sponsors on it this year, so check it out.
Yes, and I'll be putting links below for loseweightbyeating.com as well as Audrey's book, so you can check out her lovely book.
Thank you.
All right. Bye, Audrey.
I'll see you on the TV, doll.
See you on the TV.
Bye.